Hi, my name is Kyle Shaver. I had the opportunity to review Jim Nin's paper on Collins Aerospace and the opportunities that they have to improve the relationships as a supply chain organization. So I'll go over and kind of go over an executive summary of the three purchasing entities at Collins Aerospace as Jimmy describes. The first is the tactical supply chain team, the second is the strategic supply chain team, and the third is the key suppliers supply chain team. The tactical supply chain team focuses on-time delivery rating as well as quality rating. The key thing regarding the tactical supply chain team is that this team is responsible for supplier performance after a long-term award a long-term contract has been awarded to a supplier. Okay? The strategic supply chain team focuses on obtaining best values, works on creating cost reductions with the supplier. The caveat to this team and really understand this team is that they are not responsible for the supplier after a long-term contract is awarded, and really they seems like they wash their hands. So it seems like there's a big gap as it pertains to creating relationships between these two teams. After reviewing the Jimmy's paper on Collins Aerospace, it is clear that the problem here is that there's a misalignment between the tactical and supply chain teams, and it's creating confusion with their suppliers. The confusion itself causes increased inefficiencies in the supply chain as well as additional incurred costs. So after reading Jimmy's paper, I did see a lot of similarities between Collins Aerospace and the company I worked at, General Atomics. A lot of the challenges that Jimmy faces are some of the challenges that we face as well. Really focusing on trying to kind of merge a team that manages on-time delivery rating and the quality rating of a supplier with a supply chain team that really focuses on the costs and driving cost reductions to the supplier. Collins Aerospace calls it the tactical supply chain team, and the strategic supply chain team at General Atomics, we really segregated between procurement and the strategic supply chain managers team. The roles are pretty similar to what is described in Jimmy's paper. And so one of the things I would like to touch on first off is front-loading sourcing activities. And the reason why I bring this up is because if you front load your sourcing activities and you identify really capable suppliers up front that can do both to satisfy both teams, that is, I think, some low-hanging fruit that could be executed and done well. I do understand that, at least for General Atomics, we spend a lot of time to try to identify the suppliers, especially find new ones to put boots on the ground, put them on site, conduct surveys. It takes a lot of time, money, and energy to do so. And so, but if you do that, that's one quick, easy step to try to align and initially create a relationship with that prospective supplier. Okay, but to supplement that, the supply chain team, especially the team that manages the cost side, in order to use them as a source, you need to have a very robust sourcing matrix to justify those decisions. It's very easy to justify price. You're just comparing some numbers. The challenge is quantifying those other soft, or at least what I call soft supplier attributes, such as quality rating or on-time delivery rating. Other attributes to take consideration are their technical capabilities for a certain commodity, what kind of cybersecurity system they have in place, do they have a continuous improvement team. Those kinds of soft elements and soft attributes provide value, and also if those kinds of things aren't addressed up front through a sourcing matrix, they can create incurred costs in the future. And so front loading those activities can really align those two groups, not only at Collins Aerospace but at General Atomics as well. And so one other piece I was critical on regarding the Collins Aerospace structure is the fact that you have, the two teams kind of having misaligned goals. I recommend and I relied heavily upon the CrowdStrike Matrix to propose a new way of structuring their team. Now, I think this is great. I love how the CrowdStrike Matrix creates and utilizes non-critical items as a quadrant, leverage items as a quadrant, bottleneck items, and strategic items as well, and having uh, con very clear principles and a focus on how to manage those quadrants. I think it was a great opportunity to align all those groups. I haven't seen it, to be quite honest, in practice. Really, at least at General Atomics, and I believe in at Collins Aerospace as well, is they focus more on commodity segmentation, and you have groups, buyers managing specific commodities and specific suppliers in that sense. What I also view as a similarity between Collins Aerospace and General Atomics, like I said earlier, is you have one team managing cost and you have one team managing on-time delivery and performance, and quality performance. I think there needs to be one cohesive group or cohesive individual that manages the supplier as a whole. You're going to be creating much stronger relationships in the long run. And with that being said, you're getting. I want to talk about the relationship innovation opportunities, not only at Collins Aerospace, but really this applies to General Atomics as well. Is the two teams are there, and I really don't think that it's practical to completely tear down the design, the supply chain structure, and reteam and reorganize. But they need to be aligned on key objectives, and the relationships within the organization need to receive consistent attention in order to reduce those inefficiencies incurred either externally or internally to your team. And I think that one thing that you're going to be able to do, and really it's two things, is number one, you're going to be able to create very deep relationships with your suppliers. You're going to build trust. They're going to be able to understand your wants and needs for in a more holistic approach, not only taking into consideration cost reductions, but also performing on time with the highest quality. And number two, you're going to be able to create a more of a collaborative environment internally, because you're going to have um, uh, buyers that are very well aware and in tune of what the challenges and the strategies are to execute those kinds of goals.